There once lived an old farmer. His family had owned the farm in which he lived for generations. And the farm had stood for thousands of years. And at the far end of the farmer's farm there stood a long barrel. Do any of you know what I mean by long barrel? What is a long barrel? A long barrow is a grave site, an ancient burial mound for the old inhabitants of this land. And there, in this long barrow, was buried a warrior queen with her tribe. And guarding the long barrow were piskies, small creatures with pointed ears and pointed noses, green skin they had. And the piskies and the tribe of ghosts lived and had lived for millennia. The old and ancient farmer on whose land the long barrow stood had heard strange music coming every full moon from the depths of the earth, and the music confused and frightened the farmer, and had done so since he was a small boy. And one day our farmer decided to laden his cart with tools, wrecking bars, sledgehammers and pickaxes, and he took his cart up the farthest end of his farmland to the long barrow, where he began to tear the building apart, stone by stone, brick by brick. And the piskies that lived in the long barrow with the tribe of ghosts and the ghosts that resided therein grew angry with the farmer. And in their anger, they cast a magic spell over him and sent him into a deep sleep. And while the farmer slept, he dreamed nightmarish dreams. Spiders webbing themselves around his face, and fire ants crawling around his body. He dreamt of stinging nettles growing over him. He dreamt of brambles strangling him. He dreamt these nightmarish things in the dark depths of the long barrow. And while he dreamt, the piskies danced around him and laughed. Wait until you awake, farmer, wait until you awake. And after maybe a century, maybe more of these nightmares, the farmer did awake. He did awaken. And the piskies, oh, how the piskies danced. Their legs carried this way and that way, and their music grew louder and wilder, and the farmer's feet began to move. He did not have control. He danced, and all the while the piskies sang, "Dance, farmer, dance, dance, the piskie, dance, dance, the piskie, dance." And this the farmer did for 200 200 years. He danced their dance in the bowels of the earth for 200 years. When finally the warrior queen came forth and said to the farmer, "Your world has changed. What you knew has gone, and you will be released into a future you will not understand." And the strange words resonated in the farmer's ears, and with that he was flung out of the depths of the long barrel, out into the world. He had not seen the light for 200 years, and it burnt his eyes. The farmhouse he lived in as a child and grew up in was nothing but rubble and ruin. And there the farmer looked around him, and he saw horseless carts move with speed and chuck out smoke. He saw people talking to themselves on devices. He saw houses bigger than any house he could ever imagine, and he saw people wearing strange clothes and talking in a language he almost didn't understand. And all he met, all he came across, he would say, I have danced the pisky dance. I have danced the pisky dance. I have danced the pisky dance. And the people thought him mad. And mad he was. For 200 years he had lived in the bowels of the earth. For 200 years, and now the world he knew had gone, and the world he inhabited confused him. He decided, after living in this strange place for many months, to go back to the long barrel. And he knocked on the walls. And there was no answer, there was no reply to his calls. And the last we know of the farmer is that he was seen lingering outside the long barrel, and all he could say was, I have danced the pisky dance. For all we know, he could have died there, in that dark